I remember I hired you over Discord because we were in the summer and I needed staff for esports. You were one of my first interviews, and I do recall that you were a shoo-in. When you first started working here, I remember we were going over games that we wanted to have in the esports center, and one of the ones that I'm not going to say due to my age, but due to my age I might be inexperienced in was Minecraft. And I remember, your hand was one of the first up.
I remember like discussing with you some of the things that I thought we could do to bring it into the esports center and fun little things that we could do to utilize it as, to bring the community together.
Yeah, I remember you were showing me like the what are they called, the creepers?
Yeah, creepers, yeah.
I think we were just talking about having a Minecraft server and then inviting everybody to be a part of it in the community and even outside of UNC Asheville.
Yeah, I thought it'd be really cool if we had a survival server where people could come in and either help each other out or just interact with each other. And I suggested potentially like a little safe hub area so that when people spawned in, they would be safe. And
I don't know if I remember like what happens if you die or where do you respawn. And that's when we started discussing having kind of like a safe hub for new players even. We actually spoke with Corey. He's an associate director here at Campus Rec who has experience with Minecraft as my colleague. And he wanted to do sort of like a replica of Campus Rec so we could potentially do tours or some kind of zombie defense. And I remember you started talking to him after that and coming up with new ideas that we could turn this whole Minecraft server into.
Both campus students and prospective ones coming in could go and explore it and have it as a place to, interact with one another virtually, with the potential of it being used for campus tours.
Yeah, I remember really liking that idea. I think we first started talking about just Campus Rec, and then it blew up into this whole, well, if we're gonna do Campus Rec, why not do the entire campus? I forget what happened next. I think we got the server, and I think the first time you showed me the server, it just was so good that we just wanted to keep going.
Hello, I'm Avery.
I'm Lucas, and we're both graduating seniors of the new media department.
So originally, you actually came up with the idea first. So in the capstone class, we all kind of had our own ideas to form into groups, pretty much. You suggested the Minecraft server, and I was like, that's so cool. Like, I thought it was going to be like a kind of side hustle project, but it turned out to be like an actual full thing.
Last fall, my boss and I were discussing potentially getting a Minecraft server up and running for the university for like tours and just a place for students to hang out. And from there, it kind of snowballed to where I reached out to my professor for my upcoming capstone class to ask her if it'd be something she'd be willing to let us potentially do. Professor Ash.
Ash Cossette.
She's
very on board with it. Like, she supported it the entire way through, which is really nice.
And after getting approval from her, it blew up even further from there. We started working on it spring semester as our capstone project. It started picking up a lot of unexpected attention, and it's just kind of blown me away just how much traction it's gained and what it's all become at this point. For the first half of the semester, it was basically all about proving that our idea was like feasible, and from there we started just kind of like laying the groundwork. Avery mainly worked on like terraforming, and I started off with Ramsey Library. We ended off the first half of the semester with multiple buildings done, as well as the quad and mini quad. Let's see, we also had, it was Karpin, Lipinski,
it was pretty much all
Robinson.
Yeah, it was pretty much all of the buildings bordering the large quad. So like library, Karpin, Lipinski, Rose Robinson, not Delaney.
Dice. Oh, South Quad.
That's North,
Phillips.
Yeah. Phillips.
As well as Zager, yeah, or not Zager.
It's
Dice.
At some point, all of the buildings just kind of collapse into one.
Yeah, we had gotten every academic building except for Zager done by the midway point of the semester. And we presented it in front of a like small faculty panel from the new media department, including our professor, and they were really impressed by it. Like, they were kind of blown away by how much progress we had made in just that amount of time.
You also got the dean of
the Dean of Natural Sciences, Professor Merida Cameron. I had tea with her, and I told her about it, and she was like, well, if I'm free, I would like to stop by. And I remember that also blew away the professors of the new media department because they didn't expect a dean from a different department, no less, to come and take part in presentations.
Crazy.
So yeah, normally the way the new media capstones work is it's group projects split in like half. So one semester of capstone is just one project in the first half of the semester, and then what's supposed to be a completely different project in the second half. Normally it's not allowed to be the same project, but the professors decided to make an exception that we were allowed to continue our various projects into the second half if we wanted to. So from there, my teammate and I decided we were going to continue because we wanted to really kind of see this to completion. The second half of the semester has been just creating more buildings, creating more areas of campus, finishing Zager as well as Highsmith and Brown. I've been focusing on Zager while Avery's been focusing on Highsmith and Brown. We hope to continue working on this project even after we graduate, not only because we've been having a lot of fun with it, but also because we want to be able to deliver a fully finished product to the university. Carpin, because most of the building has like this really funky angle, especially around the courtyard. But now it's quickly become Zager because the entire building is on a diagonal and it's absolutely massive. Yeah, you don't really get the sense of the scale from on the ground, but especially in Google Maps, you could see at least like one of the lengths is about as wide as the library.
Respect, I'd have to go with Highsmith, just because at least Rhodes Robinson has like it's a bunch of rectangles placed onto itself, whereas Highsmith is a bunch of curves and non-linear structures. So far, the angles we've only been using are like right angles and 45 degrees because that's easy. It's just, you know, a block vertically, horizontally, and then one going perfectly between the two. Highsmith has like, you have to do like combinations of like 2s and 3s and 1s and 2s, kind of like similar to Zager, but on such a massive scale. I remember having to tab between Google Earth and the server, like going in pixel for pixel, trying to get the angles correct, and there's so many layers to it too. You'd think from the ground that it's like, oh, that's not that bad. It's just like a 2-3 story building, maybe. There's so many parts. There's so many parts, and I'm like, as we're going through, I'm like discovering all the secret hidden maintenance offices and maintenance rooms that like students don't have access to. So like I could be building something with like a locked iron door, but then like work on it from the other side, and I'm like, you connected that. So far, I haven't really had any ideas to like push this into a career of some kind. So far, I'm just kind of enjoying the process of building and like doing things with a teammate just in general. But I mean, I could also probably see this using for like other like creative group building activities to like show that we can do large-scale projects with a very small group on on a short deadline. I'm not big on advertising, but there have been talks about using this to like advertise UNCA. I haven't really wanted to go into the advertising path for new media, but it is possible.
When it comes to my plans after graduation, I'm still kind of open about them. There are plenty of things I would like to explore. Not really so much in the Minecraft area, but I do know that there are people who get paid to build things for Minecraft servers professionally. A friend I had in high school actually did that for Hypixel. She was one of their builders for a while. I just know that, you know, wherever I end up going, you know, I want it to be something that I enjoy and, you know, that helps other people. That's always been a big thing for me because I'm a computer science minor. And one of my biggest goals, especially throughout high school and even through college, was to develop educational and therapeutic video games. Minecraft in its own way can be very therapeutic to people.
Maybe it could inspire other people to make their own games and like kick off, you know, the next wave of indie development and stuff like that.
And I feel like it definitely helps broaden people's horizons for what new media can be, even like further beyond, because like I previously mentioned, it's not something I really saw as its own kind of like medium prior to my professor bringing it up. I definitely feel like it could inspire people to take things a step further and be more creative with what they want to do. And for me, it's always kind of been like building things. I've always loved building things in Minecraft, but I always like to focus on building bases in survival where I had to get all of the materials myself. I wasn't able to like play around with other people on multiplayer until after I started college, and there were a couple of periods where I actually ran like modded Minecraft servers among my friends, and that's something I would really love to do again, because the idea of just getting together and with your friends and like building things and just having fun, it feels really nice.
I think if you asked me that 10 years ago, I'd probably give you a different response, just because it's been out for so long now. So it's like, what keeps you interested in the game is constantly changing. And it's like, at first, you know, it was because of like the novelty, the appeal, the children yearned for the cubes, like that sort of thing. Where it's like, oh my God, you're given this infinite world to do whatever you want. That was so appealing to 12-year-old me, you know? And now as 22, I'm like, well, I've kind of done almost everything. So now it becomes, why still? I guess now I'm more focused on doing things with other people, because like I didn't play as much multiplayer when I was a kid, because it was still a new game. Barely anyone could have it. Like, we had to get our parents' credit card or something to pay for it. But it's like, now I'm an adult with adult friends and adult money, so like I can do more collaborative things and like focus on connection between the people instead of the blocks itself.
So when it comes to plugins and data packs, we used a data pack that this one found for different like brick colors, and that's been so helpful for us because a lot of the buildings on campus utilize bricks but in different colors, and the default Minecraft bricks just simply don't work for that. So that's really helped us be able to more accurately recreate the look of campus. On top of that, we have one that we're planning on testing out later when we start working on interiors that should allow us to implement somewhat functioning elevators. Yeah, definitely, especially with what we're giving to the university. We're kind of doing a version 1 launch right as we graduate, just so that there's like some form that people get used to explore. And then periodically we're gonna have other releases that people can access, but I think it'd be really fun to have a actual like world file that people could download if they'd like to, instead of just having it on a server.
With world edit, since that's something we like use a lot for like the commands, like they have things like line tools, fill tools. So a lot of, I know personally, I can say a lot of my technique was opening both our reference photography and Google Earth and the server up on like the same screen, so I can physically compare, you know, angles, lengths, get exact measurements of everything to put into the game. So it's like, I know I've used a lot of like the line tool to pretty much approximate areas from Google Earth. Google Earth is already kind of satellite imaging anyway. So like if you can get the scale properly with, you know, the in-the-air satellite footage to the same spot that you are in creative mode in Minecraft, it's pretty one-to-one, which is actually very helpful. Just on-the-ground reference photography too, so you can physically see and count off how many blocks something might be. We use a lot of windows actually to get the scale of a lot of the buildings, since windows are, you know, pretty square. Windows and the doors. So doors and windows, good for getting the scale of everything else, since there are things on the buildings that don't quite make full blocks or even half blocks, so we kind of have to approximate using set actual measurements. We also have drone footage. We found drone footage of UNCA, I think on the main directory website. I don't remember where you found it.
It was on YouTube, yeah. I found drone footage from a couple years ago, so we do have to cross-reference to see what's changed since then with our on-the-ground photos. But drone footage that I found on YouTube, and we use that in conjunction with our reference photos to compare the kind of changes, because the drone footage was about 2 years old, I believe, just so we can make sure that things were accurate and up to date. But we used the drone footage a lot to see what the tops of the buildings looked like, because there was only so much we could do from the ground. We spent like multiple days, you know, weather permitting, going around and taking photos of all the various buildings and areas of campus. And we have a massive folder full of them. It's like, I want to say like usually averaging 100 or more photos per building.
Don't actually know
So
the
many
exact number, but
hours.
it has to be at least over 1,000. And like you get more photos for the more complex the building is, because you have to pretty much see every single face of the building.
That's going to be a massive undertaking for us, and we haven't been able to fit it into the remaining time we have left before we graduate. We spoke to Corey, one of the pro staff here at Campus Rec, and he told me that, you know, if I need to get in anywhere to be able to better take photos, he would help me out with that. For me, the hardest one was Rhodes Robinson to take photos of, because I was walking around and I found out that there was a courtyard in Rhodes Robinson around the back of it. I didn't even know that existed because I had just never gone there. I went into so many places that I just didn't know about, especially the library. I walked into the library loading dock area and took a peek around there for photos. I'm not so sure what areas I might have not been allowed into, but I was, you know, respectful about it. And if anybody had told me, like, you can't be here, like, I would have apologized and moved on.
Like, I'd say for this project, I've definitely had to expand the way I go about exploring, because like I tend to stick to the pathways, you know, go to where the designers intended you to go exploring. And with this project, I started to step onto the grass pretty much. So like being in places where probably not supposed to be, just doing things in a way that might turn some heads. We both have gotten our fair share of like sideways glances just trying to take photos of some of the buildings. But like it makes it worth it in the end, and it's not like we aren't allowed to go do that, you know? I think it's like up to breaking past, well, what do people think of me if I'm, you know, going to go into this area even though there's like no reason for me to. You're curious, that can be reason enough.
I definitely, there was, with all these areas that I was able to like explore that I'd never been to before, like I didn't know that there was a rooftop area of Whitesides, and that was also part of the ancient gardens. I thought it was only like the little like bit with like the grapevines or whatever, like down like between it and the library. I didn't even know like all of that was up there. And since doing this, I've noticed myself not just on campus but other places as well, taking in my surroundings kind of more. And but aside from just that, just kind of getting things in my brain where I'm looking at something and I'm translating it into Minecraft unintentionally, just being like, oh, this would probably be about like, I don't know, like 3 blocks wide. And I know Avery's guilty of that too. But just kind of appreciating more of my surroundings and realizing just how tall the buildings are on campus too, because not even just like spending time like looking down at your phone or just being in a rush to get to classes, there's not really much time you spend looking up, not just like, you know, like maybe a bird in the tree or something, but actually looking up at like the buildings and taking in your surroundings. We've started going and like having dinner together more so that we could go and like talk about different aspects of the build and like our future plans. I know that I personally had a tendency to hole myself up in my room and work on things, and I don't think I ate much in like Highsmith prior to working on this project. So it definitely got me out more as well. And with how much we were walking off the beaten path in order to get proper photos, especially in some cases walking through bushes for photos, I guess you could say we actually touched grass.